with your game, pop your shit, say something pretty, let's stay thick, beef with who she got the right one. All these bad bitches ain't got the like none, and they all think I got the type one. Pick one, take it, I got the right one. These bad bitches you like is my son.
Hey you guys, welcome back. So you haven't seen me in a while, but I'm so happy to be back, and today I'm barefaced, no glasses, because today is gonna be a makeup vlog. So let's get ready. And before I get ready, of course you can see our setup has changed. We moved and the space is a lot bigger, so I'm still deciding what space in the house that I want to have as my content area, but this is a cute little office nook that I decided to use. So today we're filming in the office nook to see how I feel about this being my future YouTube setup, since this is the first video in the new place. So we'll see. Anyway, not much going on around here besides getting set up in the new place, dilly-dallying here and there, still doing makeup but rarely here and there, and a lot of traveling and enjoying the summer. So let's get ready, let's do a quick little makeup vlog. I want to get back into doing the makeup vlogs more regularly, so this is me doing my first makeup vlog, I guess you can say, of the year. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to moisturize just to kind of set and prime my face before we even get started with the makeup process. So I'm going to use my Leash moisturizer for sensitive skin, and then I just use this brush to be able to distribute it evenly on my skin. And I'll just take a little bit and I'll just apply it all over just to protect my skin. Okay, so next I'm gonna go in with another moisturizer, but this one's gonna be for mattifying and oil control, and it's also by Leash. So it's the Leash mattifying primer, so I'm gonna use a little bit of that as well, just for a little bit of oil control. And I'm gonna actually just use that same brush to apply it. Okay, so this way we have full oil control when we're doing our foundation. So let's do brows next. Okay, so we used a little pomade to lay our brows down. So let's get a little bit closer. How about there? Perfect. So let's get a little bit closer so you guys can really see what I do and what my brow routine is. So I'm gonna use a couple of things, but I'm gonna use this brow marker just to put in some extra additional brow strokes. So let's start with that. And I just go in and add a few additional brow strokes and just give it a little bit of a fill. And I love how the color of this one is subtle, so you don't just have a big black eyebrow. It's actually the natural color of your eyebrow. Okay, so typically I'll fill it in to about there, and then I'll go in and just use a brush to kind of smooth out the product. So we're gonna use my brush and we'll go in and smooth it out a bit. Okay, as you can see, we've spread it out a good bit. So now we're gonna go in and carve our brow out. Okay, and to carve our brows, we're gonna use our Too Faced concealer in the shade Cookie. And then I'm also gonna use a concealer brush, and this one is from Miss A, which I love. And so we're just gonna take a little bit of that concealer on the tip of the brush, like so, and go in and carve out our brow area. I like a subtle arch, so I add mine in. And then I drag it inward. And once I do that, I'm just distributing the product underneath. Okay, so that's how it would look just under the underbrow. Now we're gonna do the top upper brow. Okay, so for the upper brow, we're gonna use a shade that's a little bit truer to tone. We're gonna use the Anastasia Beverly Hills concealer, and we're gonna use it in the shade 23 in the Magic Touch concealer. And then I'm also using a Moda brush. It's like a lip detailer, but I use it for my brow. And that's how we're gonna carve the top. So I'm just gonna apply some product to the brush, and then we'll go in and we'll begin to carve it out. And you can really get in there and detail it how you prefer and how you like, based off the shape that you want to wear your brow. This is typically the shape that I wear, and I use just like a buffer to blend out that extra product. And then I also blend down here. Just enough to make the full brow natural. And that is how I would do my brow. So this one is fully done and filled, and this is my natural brow. Okay, so now that we've got that brow filled, let's just go ahead and fill this brow in, and let's move on to the next step of our makeup vlog. Okay, you guys, so this is the finished brows. So we filled them in with our brow pen, and of course we pomaded them down first, and then we used our 2 concealer tones to do a carve on them. So let's move on to our next step in our glam. Okay guys, so our brows are done. Phew. And you know, sometimes brows can be a little tedious. We need a little bit of our Starbucks because the brows were a little tedious. Okay, so let's move on to our next step. So next, I'm going to prime my brows with a little bit, prime my eyelids with a little bit of the P. Louise base. And we're gonna get into some eyeshadow. Okay, so we're zoomed back in and we're about to put on our eye primer. Now this is the P. Louise base in the shade Rumor 05. And I can't lie, I've actually had this for a while. Probably over a year. But it doesn't take much and I haven't had to buy more. I'm just now getting to the end of the container. But as you can see, it's like the perfect primer shade. Just to give you a really good blank canvas when you get ready to go in and apply your eyeshadow. And I'm just spreading it and applying it all over the lid, just to make sure we have a really, really, really good base in there. Okay, so I really don't have a specific direction that I want to go on the eye, but I do know that I kind of want to do this lime green just for a hint of color. So we're going to start with this lime green by MAC, and I believe this one is called, I think it's called My Kid Would Make Me That, but we'll see. It's the green. Okay, so I just kind of use my creative juices to just get me in the flow. So I've been seeing like the bright under eye vibe, but I kind of want to do it with shadows just to make it soft. So we started with the lime green. I'm gonna follow up with a few other colors just to make it like a really soft pastel-y look. So let's do it. Okay, so I'm still kind of in flow, so I'm just gonna go in and go ahead and put the green on the other side, since I know for sure that's what I'm gonna do next. Okay, so we've got our lime green packed in on both eyes. Now I gotta get into my creative bag and really see what I want to do next. So let's take a quick little coffee sip break while I think about it. Okay, so I thought about it and I had a little bit of inspiration from Lotto. So I think I want to do a matcha look, especially because this green looks just like matcha. So we're going to go in and add a little bit of pink and just give it like a matcha vibe. So let's get into it.
like Trey Young. You wanna crack these legs open like I need butter and Cajun.
Okay, you guys, so like I said, we're doing the strawberry matcha vibe. So we've got, of course, our green for matcha, and our pink, we used a MAC and a Juvia's Place mix to lay our pink foundation. Now I'm gonna go in and get a little creative. I think I'm just gonna do a cute little dainty cut crease using our P. Louise shade 0, which is just a basic white. So let's get into it.
Can I forgive? I can't. What do I need? Some head.
Okay guys, so I added in my white cut crease. Now I'm gonna go in and add a little bit of pigment to it just to give the full look some definition, so it's not just white right there.
Pink, I even got on pink drawers. Tell me how you do that, though.
Okay, so we added a little bit of silver gold glitter and pigment in there just to kind of like highlight the cut crease. Now we're about to go in and really get into like skin, foundation, and all of that so we can wrap up this look. Let's do it. Okay, so we just did a little bit of eyeliner, a subtle cat liner, but this is the Palladio eyeliner in the color black. It's just a waterproof standard gel liner, and I just use my detailer liner brush to apply it. So we got both eyes on. Okay, so we just went in and added a little bit of black liner underneath. This is just a typical beauty supply store black that we used just to give us some definition, and now it's time to really get into that skin. Okay, so we're gonna use our curve case to give ourselves a little bit of bronze and a little bit of blush, and we're using the curve case. I can't remember which edition it is, but it looks like this on the back, and of course I'll link where I got it from below the video. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so we did a little bit of bronzing, and now let's go in and add some blush. So I'm still using my curve case to do so, but I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna use the like pink and orangey shade. So let's give it a whirl. Okay, so far we've bronzed and we put on our pink blush. So now let's get in, do some concealer, a little bit of foundation, because we're almost done. So for foundation and concealer, I'm gonna use LYS. So I have my concealer pen here and then also my foundation stick. The concealer is in shade T Tom G George 7, TG7, and then the actual foundation stick is in David George 6, so DG6. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so we've got our concealer on and now we're just about to blend it in. Keep it really simple, but I love the shade of this on my skin tone. It's just like the perfect concealer shade and it's not too bright. Also, it's really easy to apply with the little sponge applicator, and then all I have to do is go in and just smooth out and block the product. Okay, so now I'm just gonna use a hint of my concealer stick, just in foundation stick, just in a couple of areas, just for like shade. This one's just a little bit darker, so I like to kind of mix it in as well. So I'm just gonna blend it in with the rest. Okay, so we've got that all blended in, and as you can see, the under eye area is the only area that doesn't have any product right now. So let's work on our under eyes. Okay, y'all. So we had a little music break, but also we're about to go in, like I said, and do our under eye concealer because these under eyes need work, baby. Okay, so we're using, again, our Too Faced concealer in the shade Cookie, which is what we use to clean up our underbrow. So let's get to it. Okay guys, so we got our concealer on. We're about to use a powder puff to blend our concealer out so that we can move on to our next step. So I'm just going to use this one, and let's get to blending. So I just kind of blot it out and just move that product around where it needs to go. You can do this with a brush or with the sponge, but this is just what I prefer. And we're just blending out all the areas that we just added concealer to. So of course our under eyes, our forehead, then our highlighted area through the nose. We're just gonna lightly blend all that. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're gonna go in and do a little bit more bronzing and start to work in our powder products, because as of now we've only used cream and liquid products. So let's start to put our powders on. So again, we can wrap this look up, our strawberry matcha. Okay, so I do bronzing with the Juvia's Place bronzer palette. This is edition dark, so it comes in many universal shades, so use the shade that applies to you. But for the caramel girlies, this is the one that I prefer. So I'm basically just gonna go in and highlight all the areas that we've already bronzed, but just bronze it with powder. Okay guys, so we applied our bronzer around our perimeter and then we defined our nose. Now we're just gonna add a little bit of blush just to spike up the look a bit, and we're gonna use the MAC Cosmetics Extra Dimension blush. This is in the shade Rosy Cheeks. It looks a mess because I dropped it, but I've had it for a while. It's just one of those ones that I keep in my kit. So it has a little bit of shimmer to it, so it gives you a little bit of extra dimension like it said. So we're just gonna go ahead and add that just to like spike up our blush a little bit. But now for me, the fun part is adding our setting powder. So we're about to get in and set our face. Okay, so for setting powders today, I'm going to use my Laura Mercier. This is the translucent honey setting powder, and this is the Ultra Blur, one of my favorites. Okay, so we've used our Laura Mercier, and we just set all the areas that I would normally set, just kind of like in my creasy, oily areas. Now we're about to go in and do a little bit of brightening with our Huda Beauty. Let me grab it. Okay, so in my Huda Beauty, I'm going to use the shade Pound Cake, and I just got a little miniature because I have several different shades and I just like to switch them up. So we're going to use Pound Cake, and I'm just going to go in and brighten my under eye with this. Just like so. Same here. And we'll just kind of let that set while we're finishing out the rest of our look. I have to apply a little bit of powder here for my foundation. So we're gonna go in and apply our MAC powder. And we're using the shade NC46. And I'm just gonna go in and kind of like dust over the places where I apply foundation, just to give it a bit of like a smoother look, especially being that we use like cream products. So you just want to kind of like powder everything out so it doesn't have like that creasy creamy look and more of a matte look, which is what I prefer. Okay, so we've used our MAC NC46 to blend out our foundation. Now we're just gonna pat out our under eye. As you can see, we had a little bit of time to let it set, so let's go ahead and blend it out. And that's just giving us all the highlight we need under our under eye. And now we're gonna go in and do some setting spray, a little bit of highlighter, and finish off the look. So since we did a little bit of gold glitter from MAC, I pulled one of my old MAC Christmas palettes. It's the Extra Dimension blush in the shade Bubbly Please. So it has like kind of like a gold shimmery vibe to it. We're gonna use that to give ourselves just a little bit of shimmer. Okay, so we added in our highlighter, and now it's about that time that we go in and use our setting spray. So I'm actually gonna pull my band down a little bit just so I don't get my hair wet, and we're gonna grab our setting spray. So I'm gonna use my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. This is the matte blur, so it mattifies, smooths, and sets. So you just shake to activate. Shake it, shake it. So now it's ready, so we're just gonna spray. Okay, so we're just gonna kind of let that aerate and matte down. It is kind of like wet right now, as you can see. So we're just gonna let that aerate and dry, and then we're gonna get into a lip. Okay, so we let our setting spray dry and I use my fan just to like let it aerate and dry all the way. So now it's time to get into a lip. So first we're just gonna get this excess makeup off my lips, and then we're gonna go in and lip line. Okay, so my lips are a little dry, so I'm gonna use my Laneige. This is the Lip Glowy Balm in Sweet Candy, just to give it a little bit of moisture. Okay. That way it can actually glide, you know, and not just be like so dry you can't hardly apply. Okay, so we're gonna go in and use our MAC Chestnut to line our lips. And I overline my top lip just a bit. Since I don't have any filler or anything, I kind of just like to plump them up a bit. Let's do the bottom. Okay, so that was our MAC Chestnut so far, and we're gonna go in. I'm gonna give this lip like another strawberry matcha vibe just to match the eyes, you know. Just gotta be very cutesy, very pinka. So let's give it a little bit of a strawberry hint. Okay, so I'm gonna use a little bit of my Snob by MAC just to start with a good cute strawberry pink base. And as you can see, it's pretty bright, so it doesn't take much. So as far as like using the Snob, this is where I'm gonna stop, and I'm gonna go in and add another product to just give it a softer pink look. So to add a little bit of softness to the look, we're gonna use our Danessa Myricks Pastels. This is in the color Bunny. Put a little bit on this brush just so I can kind of blend it out a bit, because I don't wanna make a mess. And usually when you squeeze it out the tube, you get too much. So we're just gonna use the brush. And I just really wanted to soften that pink up a bit. And while we do that, we're still gonna go back in and just double define our lip line a little bit. I'm gonna use another brand. I'm gonna use my Kofi Beauty. Just to go in and define that brown line just a little bit. But also we're gonna go in and use a little bit of gloss, because I love definition, like a matte and a gloss with my look. So let's add a little gloss. Okay, so to add dimension with the gloss, we're gonna use the Fenty Gloss Bomb. This is in the shade Hot Chocolate. And I love it because it has that brown shade to it, but it also gives it a nice wine color. And I typically like to use that around the edges just for definition. Let me zoom in just so y'all can see. And again, this is something that I just do around the edges just to give it some definition. Look how good that looks. Okay, you guys, just a close-up on the full look. This is pretty much where we're gonna stop. We've done our lips. We've done every single step that I would normally do, just besides adding mascara. So I'm gonna add the mascara, and we are so done. And of course, we're using our MAC Stack for our lashes today. Okay, so of course we have falsies on top, so I did not need to apply any lash or anything up top, just a hint of mascara. And then of course we decked out our bottom lashes and gave them a little stack as well. So we're pretty much done with this look. Let's get some final views of the look and some of my final reflections to wrap up this vloggy. Okay, you guys, we are so done. This is our strawberry matcha look. This is a little bit pushed back just so you can see the full glam and how it turned out. I love how the pinks and greens really give it that strawberry matcha vibe. And of course I have pink on, so that made it even more perfect. Just to zoom in a bit and really get an up close look, I love how the lip is complementing the eye as well. Really getting into that pink vibe. You know, it's pink season and all the girlies are loving pink, so I love that. And I love how the highlight, just when I move side to side, gives it that extra highlight and dimension, especially with the lights. Love that. So of course I'm gonna do my best to tag all the products below, but make sure you're liking, following, and subscribing at TikTok and on YouTube at Kelsey Alex, KELSEYALEX___. Of course, all my linkies are going to be available in my bio for you to be able to like, follow, and subscribe on all the platforms that I'm on. And I promise I won't make it so long before I come back and see you guys again. We're gonna try to get back to doing our makeup vlogs and our weekly and monthly vlogs, just to really start giving back and getting back to our YouTube subscribers. So again, make sure you like, follow, share, subscribe, all those buttons. Support your girl. As always, I will see you later. Bye, you guys.